Chaos has been unleashed in Mortal Kombat 1. 3 brand new characters and tons of balance changes for the roster. Many characters got new moves, or at the very least a bunch of buffs, and sadly some characters got nerfed pretty hard. Which means it's time for a tier list. As always, I've done some research. What do the pros think? What do the more casual players think? And what do the YouTube content creators think? So now I'm prepared to give my definitive tier list for Mortal Kombat 1 Chaos Reigns. And since tons of people always skip to the end to see the tier list, I'm just gonna show you right away. Yeah, I mean, why not? And I'll explain afterwards. Might as well, since so many viewers skip to the end. Here it is right away, and let me explain my decisions. Starting off with the new DLC characters, because I know that's who most of you are interested in learning about. As you can see, Cyrax is in the please nerf tier, and that's because with a single touch, this character can guarantee a 3-way mix with her bombs, and you have to guess. There's no way to escape. Jumping will not work, armor attacks will not work. You have to stand there, and Cyrax can go for an overhead, a low, or her command grab, all of which lead to a full combo, and afterwards she can glob you up with that liquid cement and reset the exact same situation over and over again. Yeah, this needs to get nerfed right away, because even without this setup, Cyrax is a top 10 character, but this 3-way mix that's guaranteed and loops into itself is way too strong. Please nerf. Next up, we have Sector in the very good tier, and that's because she is a whiff punish monster. You cannot do any keep away against this character. She will punish you instantly, which is already strong, but then with the right cameo, every single touch does at least 40% damage, if not 45% damage or more with 1 bar of meter. So you can't zone her, and she does really good damage. Oh, and she's got a 50-50 as well. The low leads to a full combo, and the overhead leads to a full combo too. Now thankfully the overhead is reactable, but it will still catch plenty of players off guard. And finally, Sector can armor break pretty much anything with either the missile or just her back 3-4. It hits twice really quickly, so just like Melina, Sector says no tier wake up every single time. And then sadly for Noob Saibot, he's in the strong tier, which is still good. He's at the very end, so Noob Saibot is still strong. He's just not overpowered, or he's just not top 10, and also not in the please nerf category, but he's still decent. Noob Saibot's combo damage is crazy. You can be very creative with this guy, and his teleport also makes him good at whiff punishing, similar to Sector. And on top of that, his portals can be fun for setups, combo extension, all that cool stuff. The main issue is his pokes, and also the fact that when his clone is gone, he loses access to most of his kit, which makes him a garbage character for a couple of seconds at the least. Or if you do embrace chaos to make him overpowered for about 15 seconds or so, he'll lose his clone for the entire round, so that's a very big deal. Without his clone, Noob Saibot becomes the worst character in the game, and I'm not exaggerating. In other words, Noob Saibot is like Sector, only with better combo damage, and he's way more complicated, and has a catch-22 with that clone. Alright, so with that out of the way, let's talk about everybody else on this tier list. Homelander. This guy has so many bugs, he gets crazy good damage, and there's just glitches everywhere that all seem to work in his favor, which needs to get nerfed. He's got no weaknesses, best mobility in the game, really good combo damage, fantastic mix-ups, and yeah, he's just way too good. Sindel, as mentioned earlier, she plays similar to Cyrax, or rather Cyrax plays like her, but the difference is Sindel can make her cameo recharge much faster and can also gain control over the opponent's cameo and all that nonsense. I'm not exactly sure how NetherRealm could nerf Sindel without completely ruining how she plays, but I do think she still needs to get nerfed. She's been top 3 since the game came out. Then we have Johnny Cage. What's there to say? He's safe on pretty much everything. Occasionally he's plus, he can counter zone, he can pressure, got the best mid hit confirm in the game. In fact, I would say he's got the best hit confirm period in the game. And everything else is good about him too, so he definitely needs some nerfs. I love Johnny Cage, and I'm glad that he was top tier for a bit, but it's time to stop. This guy needs some serious nerfs. Then we have Kenshi. I understand it takes practice and effort to become great with this character. Even so, it's just unfair and complete nonsense at times. There's the character on each side of you, and you can't use armor to escape. There's no way to escape at all, and you can't react to some of the mix-ups, so you just die. And even if you do block everything correctly, you're taking tons of chip damage, and it just feels ridiculous. He definitely does need to have something changed about him to where he feels less I win. Next up, we have the very good category. Natara was buffed like crazy, and nobody would argue she's a top 7 character now. Her dive kick extends combos for free, and if you spend a meter, she's completely safe, which means YOLO dive kick all the time, and her combo damage, which has always been good, is now over the top thanks to Pharah and her new combo extensions. As a result, Natara now gets 50% damage on every touch easily, like it's not even a challenge. So with that in mind, you might be wondering why she's not in the please nerf category. There's a couple of reasons. Number one, she still has the lowest health in the game, which makes her easier to kill than anybody else, and also, she was garbage tier since release, okay? Let her be top tier for a couple more months, alright? No nerfing yet. Then we have Havoc. This man got buffs and also some new moves. A low combo starter that does not require bar, and if you do spend a meter, it has armor, so a faster armor reversal for Havoc is always great. He's also got an instant overhead now, which is great for ending combos, and if you spend a bar, it launches the opponent to extend combos. And then if you spend a meter on his next snap, which means you've spent all 3 bars because the EX Vomit costs 2, so that's 3 bars, but what happens after is Insanity, which is perfect for Havoc. All of his inputs get flipped. The punches get flipped, the kicks get flipped, every direction is reversed, and even the block and stance buttons switch as well, so the triggers switch, in other words, which makes his gameplay crazy complicated. But what you get in return is infinite meter. That's right, you can enhance every special move you want without spending any meter, which makes sense because his meter is empty. But this means you can loop his vomit into next snap as long as you manage to hit the opponent and combo them with these weird backwards controls that make things very confusing. Oh, and also Havoc has great frame data now too, so the character is top 10, but he deserves it, don't nerf him. Reiko, nothing's changed about this character, he's just stayed ridiculous. His command grab leads to crazy damage with the right cameo, and you can't duck under it if he spends bar. He's got the best projectile in the game, he has so many plus on block attacks, he's got good combo damage, great setups, great armor break. You get the idea, this man's not really lacking anything. Scorpion, fans of this character have been fighting tooth and nail for every single buff, and when Pharah finally got here, that rose him through the ranks, and now he's officially a top 10 character according to many players. He's got fantastic range, great mobility, Pharah makes him safe on a bunch of stuff and gives him new combo routes. He can literally kill you in 2 combos because his damage has always been really high. Liu Kang got a new string. He's always had that mid-high launcher, right? It's safe on block, but the opponent can duck it. Well, now Liu Kang has a mid-mid, and this will catch the opponent trying to duck his high, and even if they do block correctly, this new string is safe on block. Or in other words, Liu Kang lost the only weakness he had, which means he's even better than he already was, and many people already agree he's top tier, so you get where he's at now. Next up, we have the strong category, Katana. This character has always been strong, but people did not want to believe, and thankfully, with the help of pro players and other committed players who've learned her tech and her abilities, she's now recognized for her crazy counter zoning, amazing whiff punishes and hit confirms. Her combo damage is great too, and in the corner, her setups with the trap on the ground are incredible as well. In fact, they can work from mid-screen if you have Jax on your team, and Jax got buffed, so maybe that could help Katana even more. Next up, we have Ashura, who is also a jack of all trades. She can do pretty much anything, has great combo damage, can counter zone, can pressure. Her projectile is one of the best in the entire game. She combos off her throw. You get the idea, she's great. Ermac is an interesting character. When he first got here, so many players were quick to say he's top 10, he's possibly top 5. I was a bit more skeptical and said, guys, I think he's good, but I don't think he's fantastic. And lo and behold, after a couple months go by, most people agree with me that he is good, but he's not fantastic. The dash cancel is incredible, lets him keep pressure going, he can combo off his overhead and his low, and his range is good too, but without a cameo character, his damage falls through the floor, and without meter, he's also not as scary either. So he's still good, but he's just not fantastic. Next up, we have Rain, also a jack of all trades. I feel like this entire row is the jack of all trades row. You know, the characters are solid, but they're just not broken. I saw some people putting Rain and Li Mei much lower, but I have no idea why, because they did not get nerfed, and neither did their best cameo characters. So I don't get why all of a sudden are acting like they're not great. Just a month ago, many players said, oh, Li Mei's top 7, if not top 10, right? And now suddenly she's bottom 15, what happened? The answer is nothing as far as updates and balance changes go. Neither one of these characters got nerfed, so I think they're both still really good. Although, you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and do this, because I'm a huge Lee Mei defender. I think this character is nuts. She has the fastest reversal in the game that leads to full combos. She can combo off her throw and does more damage than other characters. And off a regular hit, she gets the most damage outside of Natara. So I think this character is nuts. Oh, and she's safe on everything. Her best string does not have any gaps in it, so you can't armor out or anything like that. And she has a bunch of plus frames, which is why she was okay when the game first came out, but ever since she's gotten a bunch of buffs on top of that, so I think she's still very, very good. Melina, unfortunately, not much has changed with this character. She still has crazy high damage, and some of her cameo partners did get buffed, so that's going to help her a little bit. But when it comes to her game plan, she actually got nerfed. Her EX flying ball thing is no longer plus on block, so you can't just do it in neutral like you could before. For anyone not aware, that was a gimmick that Melina had. She could charge her EX spinning ball attack and hit the opponent. On block, she was safe, but on hit, she got a full combo, and it tracked into the air too, and could even catch people jumping on reaction if you were fast enough. So it was crazy. It's been nerfed now. You can't just YOLO do it, so that was a bit of a punch in the gut for Melina. Next up, we have the mid-tier. Baraka got a nerf. His flippy spin attack in the air no longer tracks perfectly anymore. It's still correct most of the time, but it's not guaranteed. If you get a bit too crazy, he might go the wrong way and miss the opponent, or the opponent might drop out in the middle of his spins during longer combos, which is unfortunate. I don't think Baraka needed to catch any nerfs, but unfortunately he did catch a nerf. Omni-Man, however, got buffed. His overhead now ground bounces the opponent to start combos. Even from mid-screen, he gets a combo with the right cameo, but in the corner, he can combo after it all by himself, and this buff was such a smart idea, because even on day one, I wondered why the overhead was punishable on block. It didn't lead to anything. It was just an overhead, and it was reactable. Why was it punishable? Well, now it makes sense, because it leads to a full combo, and when combined with Kung Lao's hat or other low-hitting mix-ups, he can time the overhead with that to create hard-to-block setups that can lead to full combos. So now the overhead being punishable makes sense because it's actually quite good. Next up, let's talk about Shang Tsung, because similar to Shujinko, how powerful he is depends on your opponent's cameo now, because he can steal one of their moves, and it's the same move every time, but depending on the cameo, he gets a different move, right? If you're using Goro, he gets a punch walk, which is not fantastic, and with the bar, it gets armor, but not a combo starter, so not that good. However, if you're using Sonya, then he gets a combo with bar, and even without the meter, it's still an overhead that's plus on block. So really good, honestly. Depending on your opponent's cameo, he can either be decent or he can be good. However, oddly enough, the old man version got buffs, whereas the young version did not, which has me wondering if NetherRealm even plays Shang Tsung, because the old version was already good. It's the young version that was lacking, and yet the old version got a new string. It's a double hitting low, which is nice, and you can hit confirm it, but the old version already had the low mix. It's the young version that had the overhead mix, and that's one of the only reasons you would even be in young form up close is for that overhead, so giving the young version a low would have actually made way more sense, but instead NetherRealm gave it to the old version, which once again doesn't make much sense. Don't get me wrong, any buffs or new attacks are appreciated, but it feels very weird to give that to old man Shang because the old man form was already the better version. Next up we have Tanya. This character got gutted, but she also got a bunch of new moves that I think make her way more interesting of a character, because before the nerf she was brain dead. It was, I'm gonna do a string into the spinny kicks, Goro keeps me safe, or I'm gonna do armored wake up spinny kicks, and on hit I get a full combo, but on block Goro keeps me safe. Spinny kick, spinny kick, spinny kick. It was so brain dead. So guess what? Spinning kick's been nerfed. It no longer can be made safe with the cameo because Tanya bounces back immediately. Nobody can save her. Or in other words, now Tanya is like everybody else. Her armor attack works if the opponent tries to attack you, but if they predict you and block, then you get punished for a full combo. Imagine that, Tanya. You're now playing the same game as everybody else. That one nerf was all it took for Tanya to go from top 3, top 5, all the way down to the end of mid-tier. So she's almost in the please buff tier, but the reason she's not is because she got a bunch of new stuff. Her ancestor buff, where she like gets the ring behind her, now has so much more functionality. If you hold down the button, she gets the meter burn version of her attacks for free, and sometimes it gives her completely new properties, like her spinny kick becomes projectile immune. And if you do her spiral arrow, where she spins low to the ground, you can hold the button and she'll do a teleport follow-up to keep the combo going, or she'll do a shove to knock the opponent down. So different follow-ups, but you have to have that buff where the ring is behind her head, which I think is good. I always wanted Tanya to be more of an install character, but because her spinny kick thing was so brain dead, nobody used her other moves at all. Now, last but not least, we have the please buff tier. Kung Lao lost the one thing he did better than everybody else, and that was his wake up. For anyone not aware, Kung Lao's EX wake up used to be completely safe, which meant the Kung Lao player could just do it whenever they wanted to, even in neutral, because if you blocked it, he was safe, but if he landed it, he got a full combo. Well, now it's been normalized. On block, this move is now fully punishable. The opponent can destroy you if you don't have 2 bars. If you have 2 bars, you can spend the second bar to do the follow-up kick, which can launch the opponent for a full combo, but it's still punishable on block. That's the funny part. If the opponent is patient and just keeps blocking, then Kung Lao is still fully punishable, even if you spend 2 bars on his armor attack for both the punch and the kick follow-up, which used to be safe. It's not safe anymore. The only gimmick now is the opponent might think you're done after blocking the punch and try to combo you, but they get caught by the kick follow-up because you spent 2 bars, and now you get the full combo. So overall, Kung Lao's wake up is so much weaker, and similar to Tanya, that one change made him go from the front of mid all the way to the bottom row, right? He's now in the please buff category. He got a new move with the air hat toss, which has some fun corner combo extensions, but it's not that big of a help. I think it needs to do a bit more, like maybe the option to toss it downward. And then his EX spin, where he goes across the screen, now travels way faster, but it's still not a combo starter, so like, who really cares? It's a fun gimmick, but what does it actually do to make his gameplay better? Nothing at all, really. We're actually gonna skip Smoke because nothing happened to him. With Raiden, his EX teleport is now super interesting. It cost 2 bars to launch the opponent for the combo extension, but now it's unbreakable, so the opponent can't do combo breaker if they're launched by the EX teleport. That's actually kind of crazy. It's like the EX uppercut. If you hit the opponent with that, they can't do anything to break the combo, which means that Raiden might have set play now. And after hearing all of that, you might wonder why he's in the bottom row. Well, it's because all the stuff that used to make him good has been nerfed and taken away, and also everyone else has been buffed around him. So Raiden's been nerfed several times. His main gimmicks that made him popular are completely gone. He's more of a regular character, but just lacking, whereas everyone else got buffed around him, so that's why he's bottom row. Garrus got a buff where his overhead flip kick can now start and extend combos, which is interesting, but doesn't do a ton for him, so he's still bottom row. Takeda got a bunch of damage nerfs, but that was not his issue. His problem was all the gaps in his strings, and those are still there. And also, Takeda is slow, which is never good in Mortal Kombat 1. Peacemaker is the worst character in the game now. Like, straight up. All of his tools are just kind of garbage, which almost feels fair after what he did to several major tournaments with his ridiculously good moves. They've all been nerfed, his combos have been nerfed, his range, his mobility has all been nerfed, and as a result, he's now the worst character in the game, which is horribly ironic. Even so though, keep in mind that no character in this game is bad. You can win with any of them at most levels of play. Unless you're competing in a tournament, if you lose with your favorite character, that's usually your fault for just not learning their tools and also their matchups against certain characters. It's not just me who thinks that. You can ask most pro players or just skilled players in general. Nobody in Mortal Kombat 1 is a bad character. Some just need buffs here and there, and the top 5 characters definitely need to be nerfed. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I hope you enjoyed my tier list. If you did, leave a like down below. If you disagree or want to share your thoughts on my tier list, then make sure to comment down below. And then finally, finish that combo by subscribing and ringing that bell so you never miss any future videos. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.